Phil and Rye on Listen Up Ryan. Number 2 seed UConn books its 29th straight Sweet 16 appearance with a 77-58 win over 7 seed Baylor. And even though we're not in the same room right now, I was somehow magically able to watch it with you tonight. And I appreciate, even though I left a taco at your house, I was mad about that. I appreciate you letting me come down with you and watch the game. And boy, was I glad. It was actually a nail biter there in the first half. You know how much respect I have for Nikki Collin. And I told you, I'm like, man, Ryan, here I go again tonight crying, because I'm going to have to watch this Nikki Collin interview. She got to my emotions last year. Now she's going to get to me this year. Hey, look, all the respect I have for his head coach. She knows that. We've touched base a couple times before. So if she sees this, hello, Nikki Collin. Hats off to Baylor. They had a great season. But again, we talked about it all year. When it comes to UConn, man, Nikki Collin actually respected her. She had him figured out there, Ryan, just for a while, just for a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, man, there's too many weapons on the other side of the ball. We know it. We all know that you know it. And Ryan's going to go ahead and hit us with the wonderful, beautiful game recap like he has done for us all season long.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it right. Baylor really did stick with UConn, especially in the first half. They stuck with them. But a really ruckus crowd, sold out crowd tonight at Gampel Pavilion with a spot at the Sweet 16 on the line. This game has a little bit of history behind it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the game in San Antonio just 2 years ago. When UConn beat Baylor 69-67, a very debated and questionable no call in the last seconds of that game is what decided the outcome and led to the UConn win. UConn started out tonight, a couple of backdoor cuts to try to get their offense going. Baylor was shooting the ball really, really well. Left off where they did it in that Alabama game, 18-point comeback. That was a heck of a game they had against Alabama. Wonderful comeback. So many upsets. So much we could talk about it with this women's March Madness tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. We could have a 30-minute episode about all the other
but we're
games.
not. But we're not because
I'm
I
gonna
don't want you to
stick.
hold me out of
I'm gonna
bed.
stick
right?
with this game tonight. Yeah, but Baylor, they made a ton of threes to start the game. Really throughout the game, shot the ball well, like I said, right where they left off against Alabama. And it was clear tonight, again, that was a part of the game plan. Baylor made 6 of 11 from downtown in the first quarter, and that was really the difference. UConn, they had a couple of turnovers. Baylor was playing good defense and really set the tone there to begin the game. Bears really made UConn run around a lot on defense, really trailing the ball and trying to match up with the Baylor defense, or the Baylor offense rather. UConn trailing Baylor at the end of one thanks to an 11-3 run from the Bears. The Huskies went on their own run to start the second, a 15-2 run to start, put UConn back up by 1 with a 7-0 run, and then eventually went to 15-2. But it was UConn on defense, getting a couple steals, taking advantage on the other end. Aaliyah Edwards, Caroline Ducharme started getting involved and really did most of the scoring during that run. And of course, Nika Mule still making great passes, dishing out dimes. Huskies playing a lot better, tighter defense, I'd say, in the second quarter. UConn, though, they started to slip up and let Baylor kind of get back into the game there to end the second quarter. Really let Baylor set up their offense and allowed them to get a couple more threes. A lot of offensive rebounds from Baylor, second chance points. Baylor pulled within 2 until Nika Mule ran the court and hit a buzzer-beating 3 to put UConn up by 5 at the half.
Yeah.
I'm a really big believer in momentum, and I think that might have led to some of that momentum and firepower the UConn came out with.
Before you go over to third and fourth quarter, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to make sure that I said something about that. I was actually really disappointed as far as watching UConn because I know they're more capable of playing better ball than they did in the first and second quarter. But again, prior to halftime, I think that shot by Nika Mule might have fueled them for the third and the fourth because again, totally different as you're going to tell us, totally different ball game in the third and the fourth.
Yeah, and Aaliyah Edwards picked up her fourth foul with 7 minutes left in the third quarter, didn't return the whole third quarter. So it didn't really look like the best start of things that third quarter, but it actually didn't really affect UConn too much. The third quarter was really back and forth for a while there. Jaden Owens kept knocking down threes for Baylor. She had a wonderful shooting performance for the Bears tonight. Really impressed though with UConn's ball movement on offense. Everyone looked in sync. Azzi Fudd started to catch fire. Complete Azzi Fudd takeover in that third quarter. Dorka made some buckets down low. Albert Griffin, what a quarter from her as well. Getting rebounds, steals. Really loved her effort tonight. She must be feeling better from those back spasms, which is really great to see out of Aubrey. But playing tremendous defense, running the floor, scoring the baskets for UConn. Albert Griffin, Azzi Fudd, domination in the third quarter. And the Huskies, just like that, Azzi Fudd up to 22 points, I believe, in that quarter. UConn up 62-50. And then in the fourth quarter, UConn offense just kept rolling, carving up the Baylor defense in the fourth quarter. So good to see the Huskies in sync and catching fire like this during March Madness. Azzi Fudd led with 22 points. Nice to see Azzi have a really good shooting performance. Kind of struggled there for the past couple of games, returning from that knee injury. But UConn also dominated the paint. And really just after halftime, Baylor didn't have any answers. But like you said, hats off to Baylor and Nikki Collins for that comeback win against Alabama. She's really building something there in Baylor. They had a pretty good team again this year. But they shot the lights out again in this game. But in the end, there just couldn't really keep up with UConn for all four quarters.
Yeah, I'm not so sure because again, I not no disrespect to UConn, but I want to spend like this is like not like any other game recap. Like we're so hyped up, UConn won against Baylor. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you said it. I want to actually spend on this whole game recap and talk about every single game that we saw today. We can't do it. We just can't do it, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, two big things. I said a lot of things has to go your way in order for you to win a sports game. Let's put it that way, because take it for what it is, Ryan. Basketball, football, baseball, hockey, right? All four sports. I'm not going to say that the referees have to be on your side. Let's not go that far with it, because obviously they're not on any team's side. What I mean by that is the referees, the umpires, whatever you're speaking of, basketball in this situation, the referees, they have to call a lot of calls that are in your favor. All right. And with that said, I'm not going to sit here and blame Aaliyah Edwards, because she has been lights out, all right, for this team all year. But when I say this, again, it's not, and I'm not beating up Aaliyah Edwards and say, oh, you had a terrible game. What I'm saying is, again, it's just as simple as this. A lot of stuff has to go your way in order for you to win a ball game and win a national championship. All right. So with that said, Aaliyah Edwards has to stay away from the foul trouble like she did tonight. That was a big concern. Obviously, I'm not so sure just in my eyes, but I think you as well. But again, Dorka Yuha stepped up great in her absence, when she had to step out in the third quarter. And then you had Azzi Fudd. You mentioned how Azzi Fudd kind of slowed down in the last game in the first round. She picked up in the second round of this tournament. And I thought that was big, because Azzi Fudd, we know what she's capable of, arguably the best three-point shooter. And you said, and the crowd, man, the crowd. Oh, I told you, I said, we had to mention the crowd was incredible tonight. And then they show Azzi Fudd's parents every game. You have to love
Every game.
that they're there every game for supporting their daughter. So we love that. We love seeing the crowd. I mean, from the the mascot, obviously the mascot. I mean, all the little details, man. It's just like you said, it's something that's so much more different than March Madness, than the regular season. And you told me, you're like, it's like all these buckets will not fall during the regular season, but when it comes to March Madness, if you need to tie it up, the ball will fall. If you need to go ahead, the ball will fall. So, but man, yeah, to say the least, Azzi Fudd, yeah, big game from her. And then obviously, though, Aaliyah Edwards has to stay away from foul trouble if this team is going to win it all. I'll just say that much. And with that said, again, a lot of these calls are questionable, all right? And the referees are not perfect, all right? They're human beings too. With that said, though, I'm not saying it was Aaliyah Edwards' fault that she got into foul trouble. What I'm saying is maybe it was the referee's fault, maybe it was bad calls. At the very least, she's got to stay away from foul trouble.
Yeah, and also talking about the crowd there for a little bit, and I think as Dorka and Lou remember, this is their final game at Gamble Pavilion, final home game of their career at UConn. So a good nod there to the student section and Dorka and Lou blowing kisses to the crowd as they're walking off the floor. So that was really cool to see as well. But yeah,
Did you cry any?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
I have a box of tissues over here just in case, man, when I get off this podcast. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, hopefully we save that for the national championship. But yeah, but Aaliyah Edwards, she still managed to get 19 points despite only playing 3 minutes of that third quarter, and came out in the fourth quarter, got a couple baskets. So still able to score 19 points. Aubrey Griffin, 10 rebounds, Nika Mule, 10 assists. But I think tonight, just another all-around team effort, in my opinion. Great team defense. Everybody, like I said, in sync, and it's really the best time to do it for UConn. It's just like you said, talking about none of this stuff happens. A lot of it just during the regular season, March Madness. It's just totally different in March Madness. We watched a couple of those games, and one of them was Indiana and Miami defeating Indiana, and Indiana hitting a 3 there, and then Miami coming back and winning the game. It's just such unbelievable stuff that happens during March Madness. We witnessed it last year with that double overtime game that UConn had and pulled away with over NC State. It's just stuff that happens during March Madness that you just never see, and it blows your mind every single year. So there really is nothing like March Madness, and I'm glad UConn is able to advance to the Sweet 16 for however many years that you said in the beginning, losing track now, but they will play Ohio State on Saturday. So another exciting matchup to look forward to.
Yeah, again, thanks to Megan Gower. She's right. I mean, she said Aubrey Griffin had 12 rebounds in just 19 minutes. Griffin's effort on the glass and defensive end, combined with Azzi Fudd's explosive third quarter, completely changed the trajectory of the game for UConn. I mean, we get so caught up in, the starting five, and that's it. But it's incredible, man, to see just what a full team, a full healthy team can do, let alone the starting five. And then again, shout out to Matt McCoy for this. The UConn women have made an amazing 14 consecutive Final Fours at Ohio State. He tagged them at Ohio State. Women's basketball will have a chance to end the remarkable streak when they meet in the regional semifinals Saturday. We apologize. We did not get a last check-in out this time around, but you said it, Ryan. We will have a week to work ahead, and we will definitely get a video out previewing that game coming up in the Sweet 16. Ryan, just very quickly, we got caught up. Obviously, this is not Paige Becker's fault. Injuries happens, but we got caught up in the and it still could happen, right? Because Paige Beckers is coming back next season, but we got so caught up about, just the one. I'm just talking about the 1-2 punch. Kind of like I always go to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. James and Dwayne Wade back when they were in Miami with the Heat. And I always think about them being that 1-2 punch and maybe even a third man. But in this case, we're talking about the Huskies. And I just always in my mind, I always thought, Paige Becker's Azzi Fudd. That's it. Boom, boom. Paige Becker's Azzi Fudd. I know it's impossible this year with Becker's being out, but at the same time, it's just, especially with Dorka leaving now, I'm like, oh, man, because who would have ever thought we'd be sitting here right now all of a sudden when I think about Huskies now, on my hat now, Huskies, I think all of a sudden, Ryan, it just goes Juhas, Edwards, Juhas. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll even take that a step further because you can't forget about Chris Bosh as the third man alongside.
I guess we're going to say Azzi Fudd then.
Yeah, but
then you have Lou Lopez, Senechal, and I don't know. That's up for you to decide.
And every time we talk about that Miami Heat team with LeBron and Dwayne Wade, I always think of that
Oh my
Miami Heat
God. Oh
announcer that
my.
we always laugh at. That's those good times. That good times
Oh my.
back in those Miami Heat days. But yeah, I mean, Dorka, Leah, incredible seasons. But of course, Azzi, I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know if she played 10 total games this year with all the
Oh
injuries
man.
that she had. But we talked about that so much during the beginning of the season, looking forward to having Paige, Azzi, and Nika, the three-headed monster, as you will, in the starting lineup alongside Caroline Ducharme as well.
Mhm.
But the script got flipped a little bit, and we saw Lou step in and really take the crowd's heart. And everybody loves her there, and UConn, including us. And Dorka really stepped up. I know she's really disappointed she wasn't able to make an impact during last year's March Madness. So let's hope and pray that she and the whole team stays healthy during the tournament as we move on. But I know she's so motivated and fired up, just even more now for every single game. And Aaliyah Edwards, I mean, we can't talk about her enough and the incredible season that she's had.
Time for a couple, and then we will head out and enjoy the week off and get you the game preview out. Tony goes 6 for 18 from three. Isn't that great? Need AZ to get rolling. Azzi Fudd.
Well, she got it rolling tonight, and she was definitely a big part in why UConn won this game, and also as well, Caroline Ducharme. We tend to forget about her a little bit, but we can't forget about her coming off the bench. Scored yet another double-digit performance with 10 points tonight. So Caroline's another huge part coming off the bench, but for sure, like I said, AZ really struggled about the past 5 games or so coming back from that injury. So really great to see her with a good great, solid shooting performance tonight for UConn. It really set the tone for them offensively.
How about Sal? Sal goes, I know how South Carolina beat their opponent at the end of most of their games. I kind of find it interesting. A lot of these comments are going to South Carolina on the UConn podcast. So just keep your eye on that, Ryan. Very interesting. They rest all their good players, and while their bench tire out their opponent, then they put their good players in after they get rested. Anytime you play against fresh players while you are tired out, you will lose. I don't care how good you are.
Well, I mean, every team's different, and I think a South Carolina is kind of a different breed just because of, like they just said, off the bench. I mean, we have the bench. I believe they scored 38 points or something recently off the bench. So it's just incredible the amount of talent that South Carolina has. And as much as we might not like them over here on the UConn side, we just really have to appreciate at times how talented they really are.
Yeah.
So they're going to be hard to beat. Obviously, I have them going to the final again. It's going to be hard for any team to beat them at all. So it's going to be interesting to see the upcoming teams that they play. They had a tight contest there for a while the other night, but eventually pulled away. But they're so talented. I mean, we saw it when they played UConn this season. Coming off the bench, you have Cordosa is 6'6" or something coming off the bench. So it's just incredible when you have players like that can come off the bench and just score as good as the starters can.
Yeah. This one, man. T Will, UConn and Stanford. Stanford are the only teams that can defeat South Carolina this season. Ah,
Well, what one of them's already out, and that was another one that we watched the other night. Stanford losing in stunning fashion to Ole Miss. So Stanford and two number one seeds already out in Indiana as well. So again, it's just incredible the amount of upsets this year. A couple of 12 seeds, and Creighton losing was a big upset. I had them going pretty far in the tournament, but Villanova, Maddie Seagrass, another outstanding performance from her tonight. So can't wait to see Villanova again in the next round. Should be exciting to see them. But yeah, I mean, it only leaves two number one seeds left, and of course, one of them is South Carolina. But yeah, Indiana and Stanford losing this early is a shock to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, you remember how I told you, Ryan, to pack your bags on a couple episodes ago. Well, this time you really need to pack your bags because this is a lot further away. We're excited about it, and we all know that you are excited about it. Ryan, this time the address changes to 334 First Avenue North in Seattle, Washington, not Washington, D.C., Washington State. All right. Sweet 16 action. We got all the news right here for you on Listen Up. Ryan, I can't wait. I will see you in the round of 16. Hello, Buckeyes.